I am Joshua K. Sabra, Esquire, and he is Dr. Miles Salisbury. And you are listening to the Miles Ahead podcast, where we share tactics, techniques, and protocol to improve your physical, mental, and spiritual health while you walk the path of the warrior. Stay tuned. In today's episode, Dr. Miles and I discuss pain and how pain tolerance can actually make it more difficult for you to get what you want. So, to learn about double bind and choices and pain tolerance and how to lose it to help your motivation, stay tuned. Here we go. Let's sort out the pain and the growth. How are you, Miles?
6 out of 10 in pain, like you just asked. I'm reducing the pain meds because it makes me feel like a space ranger and off. So dealing with the pain, got my my bone broth going, my Draco cup, and I have to wear the Ducks gear because they are number 1 in the country right now. It's been like 12 years since that's happened, so I'm enjoying it because it probably will come crashing down next week. Who knows? They're looking good. So wear my Ducks gear. That helps. I'm hanging in. I had this surgery on Tuesday, so it's fresh. When the nerve block wore off, that was a level of pain I was prepared for mentally, but didn't know what it was going to feel like, and I soon found out. But they gave me a ton of pain meds, so once I took that, it was like 50% better. And every day it's gotten a slight bit better. I just have to keep it elevated. I am going to be slightly stupid and travel to Denver next week to working with men's conference with Trevor Boehm, the Man Uncivilized guy. Had that scheduled for like 9 months, so I don't want to miss it. So that's going to be fun, navigating the airport with my pirate leg. But they should help me, I hope. Yeah, just kind of the stuff we talked about last time, just trying to stay present, relaxing, handling what's in front of me, not letting my mind go too dark or force outcomes or think too far in the future, or else I will, like, I can spiral real easy, and get real frustrated because this is going to be a long rehab. Have to deal with frustrations and just kind of use humor as much as possible, and be well resourced, as they say. Reach out to friends, like you've been checking in on me, which is helpful. Other friends have been checking in. I was able to coach soccer yesterday, which was cool, on my peg leg. So that helps, just doing as much of my normal routine as I can, just adapted with this leg, or having to sit down or have to take drugs or whatever it is. Like the first day back to work, I just did all my session work on couch with the phone online, which I hate doing. But then I went back to the office and got plopped down and raised my foot, and it was fine. So I'm getting back to that. So long way to answer a complicated question, I guess. I'm trying to stay more optimistic than go dark, because historically that's been my MO, and that sort of segues to the point of this podcast, is perspective and the way we look at things. It's been a real synchronistic challenge for me to do that, because that has been my go-to most of my life, just because of childhood wounds, and that being like the story that I grew up with, that things are always going to go bad. You can't trust people. They're going to leave you. You have to always worry. And that being a narrative I took into adulthood without even knowing that I was doing that. And so kind of the point of the podcast, what that looks like and how to release that. So, yeah, I'll I'll rein it in. If I sound a bit off, I am on pain meds right now, so I'm not stoned out of my mind, but they definitely make me brain foggy. So I'll do my best.
Well,
You've been there before with your injury.
yeah, I mean, well, depending on what you mean by been there before. I mean, in terms of been disorganized and mentally all over the place, I don't need an injury for that.
Or drugs.
Yeah, sometimes my girlfriend will ask me a question, I'll answer like 10 other things besides what she asked, and I was just like, I'm sorry, you wanted to know whether or not I need anything from the grocery store. So yeah,
ADD, yeah.
mental health is important. Mental health is important, people.
Highly.
But so okay, I think I've been at this. You mentioned synchronicities. There's a lot of crossroads that I'm finding myself in, and you find yourself in, and one of the themes of a podcast I just listened to. So when I'm listening to a podcast, I've been bouncing between the art of manliness. Why?
Classic.
Because Spotify is good at marketing, and but
He's
also
an OG.
yeah, and
Yeah,
he's a good interviewer, and so
absolutely.
they and then James Whitmore, they both had really good interviews, and then they had a couple of follow-up podcasts that were really good. But the thrust of that I'm taking away is that there is pain is inevitable with living, and one of the core incompetencies that people develop thinking it's a competency is pain tolerance. And
Wait, say that again.
so I think um a pain is inevitable, right?
Yep. First noble truth of Buddhism.
And one of the handicaps that people have that they develop for a variety of reasons, and you know, personally, internal wise, external wise, is a level of pain tolerance that isn't helpful.
You mean like the part where they perceive it as tolerance, but it's just ignoring and pushing through and not dealing with tending to the pain? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, and to flesh that out, like every decision that you make in life, there's some aspect of a double bind. There's the opportunity cost, so you're giving up something in order to get something. Every decision is a trade-off between what you're giving up for it and what you're going to receive. And one way to think about the distortion that we integrate early on as adults or as children, and then that we become adults, is we distort the trade-offs because we distort how we value our own discomfort and pain. And to what you were saying is I think true. Like somewhere along the way, if you want to look at a dysfunction in your life, whether it's physical or mental, but let's use it physical because you're injured and it's an easy vehicle for this conversation, right? It's a literal metaphor, so it's very literal. So you blow your Achilles, right? Well, underneath that, before that happened, you're very self-aware. So you told me that you were feeling the pain for a couple weeks before your injury, right?
Yep.
And
On both of them.
instead of tending to the pain, right?
Or stopping.
Or just making some adjustment.
Seeing Grant's getting shockwave. That's what I should have done.
Yeah, or just walking and having an assistant coach demo the right, like there's
I don't have one. It's just me. That's the problem.
So stick with that because we're going to come back to the solutions in a second. But the problem is that part of it is that it is in alignment with the narrative that you already have, right?
Yes.
Doing hard things is supposed to be painful.
Yes.
I'm not well resourced, so I need to be stronger on my own. I need to overfunction.
Yeah. I can do this by myself. I don't need to ask for help. I can push through historically through pain. I don't need to warm up. I'm still 20 in my head. Yeah. I see where you're going with this.
And on and on and on. And because we become anesthetized to our own internal state and pain,
Yeah.
we are tolerant to it. Then when it comes to the double bind of a decision, we make bad decisions because we don't actually pay attention to what's not working for us
Mhm.
in that situation.
Yeah. It's really addictive and habitual to do that. I think because historically, some of that is adaptive. That probably did help us when we were younger to get through shit. But we have to update it and adapt it to the new reality, or else it's like Carl Jung would say, we otherwise we wear shoes that are too small for us. You know, it's just going to hurt. You know, we got to grow and get bigger shoes.
That's right. And the easiest pain, the easiest decision to make in life is to hold on to familiar pain.
Yeah, that's the devil, you know.
Well, the strongest in the when the podcast I was listening to, the gentleman said the strongest impulse to take an action is to take an action in alignment with who we think we already are.
Yes, the ego, man. Ego's the enemy. It's the terrible master and a great servant. But when we let it lazily take the reins, we get it kind of hoses us.
So before we get into solutions, I want to go even one layer deeper, right? So we're here in a painful situation.
Mhm.
So you know,
Sure.
your physical one. I'm gonna give another one, that I see a lot, that so to make it a decision on your health, right? So people, when they come to me, usually they're in a lot of pain emotionally about their physical state, right? They want to change. And one of the things that they do is they want to attach a lot of conditions to their change, right? So
To keep them safe.
yeah, yes. I'll change my behavior for a little while, Josh. In return, you will have my transformation be done on my time frame with the level of commitment that I have already predefined.
No pain.
Right. And well, no pain I don't want. Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so the I don't want to have to ask anything from my partner. I don't want to renegotiate boundaries with my kids or my boss or my career or
Change my
myself.
diet.
Or yeah, myself, exactly. So so if you let's just use the time because that's the easiest one. There's many like death knells to change, but one of the biggest death knells of change is time. And the time pressure, what it does is creates desperation, hurriedness, and urgency. And urgency is good. You want to move with a purpose. You don't want to be doing whatever. Anytime people go to the gym without a plan, I want to get like they exist, and I'm friends with them at the gym. So I'm going to call out one of our listeners, Larissa, who cracks me up with the way she kind of does whatever she feels like doing. She does some abs, does some arms. She just likes hanging out at the gym.
Mhm.
And it like scratches my nervous system when someone is just hanging out, just living. And Larissa, if you're listening, you're in great shape. You're a lot of fun. I enjoy our conversations always. I hope, and then
She's a little muscle, a little ball of muscle. Yeah.
I hope you don't mind me beating you up. But I also, I show her how to do things, and she crushes it. By the way, she crushes it. So this is not like a attack,
Pro runner.
but what she does is she doesn't have a time frame, so she's not burdened by urgency and desperation.
Mm.
So she's doing actually a lot more right than wrong, right? And
Obviously,
time constraints create a level of a hurriedness that doesn't serve anybody, whether it's in any application. And I was just listening to another fitness influencer talking about, he's a bodybuilder and he's in crazy shape. He's like 235 of pure muscle, 8% body fat, whatever it is. And somebody asked him how much he works out per week, and he was like, "Oh, about 8 hours." And that's a good amount, by the way.
that's a lot. Yeah.
I probably work out 7.5 hours or 8 hours myself. I don't look like that, but it doesn't matter. The point is people expect it's some sort of extreme amount that you have to do to get into wildly good shape. And the realization is that having no time constraint on how long you're going to do it, but what can you commit to do forever is the important part.
Like the lifestyle change.
Yeah, 2 hours a week of exercises, to get in the kind of shape that most people want to be in. 2 to 3 hours of exercise is going to do most of the work for you.
Yeah,
and having a good diet. But the time constraint on like I have to be in shape by this time, that creates a level of pressure that puts people into these boxes, and you start to combine these things, and you start to get these unwinnable scenarios, right? So if I can't ask for support from anyone around me, I have a time constraint. I undervalue my personal pain, overvalue the opportunity cost of the people around me in the environment. So you have all these conditions, and then basically you paint yourself into this little box where it's impossible. It's impossible. I don't know how anyone runs a successful business. It's impossible. Employees don't want to work. Everyone wants to be paid more money. Customers never have. It's like all the rules are in this place where nothing is going to go right.
And it makes you wonder if it's a genius way to self-sabotage the whole process.
Yeah, to prevent from needing to change. Now, that's a little convenient. I mean, that's a fast road to get there. That's not wrong in terms of self-sabotage. But one of the things that sabotage is not using, if you have a mission and you don't use all the resources that you have at your disposal to accomplish that mission, you're the only person responsible for you. It is sabotage. You didn't accomplish the mission because of your lack of effort. And when people say effort, it's like they go back to the thing that everyone quantifies as a good thing, pain tolerance. They're like, no, I'm willing to do really hard and painful things. Yeah, but that's not winning. It's not helping you get there.
No, it's just exerting effort and tolerating pain. Like, cool, but to what ends? Like those people that work a gajillion hours a week and that's like a value of theirs. And the people that are working smarter, not harder, are going further and farther, or they're working a lot less hard. So who's the wiser here? Like, why are we doing these things?
That's right. That's right. And there is an element of surrender that has to happen. And I guess that's maybe part of what letting go of the ego is.
Yep.
But as somebody who used to have that same narrative of like, I have to work hard because, instead, what I actually found is that working harder was the distraction. It was the busyness to keep me from actually changing.
That's another one. The workaholism. Yeah, it's a great way to run. If I keep moving, I won't have to turn and face the pain. But as we know, we can't outrun that stuff.
Yeah.
The shadow is very... What the AA says, if you're not working on your addictions and you're white knuckling, it's like in the parking lot doing push-ups or something. That's the same idea. Like, you can't outrun that shit. It's just getting stronger while you're avoiding it.
Well, it actually persists, right? So the hurriedness and desperation that you accumulate with all that pressure, it just creates a monstrous ego problem. And these things manifest. Manifest in different ways. But a friend of mine as a coach, and she took some time off, and she came back. She took a break and came back to her career, and everything was worse than when she left it. Right? Like, she was like, I wanted to decompress and get away, and get my energy back. And I came back, and everything was 2 or 3 times as worse as it was before. More challenging boundary conversations, more challenging financial stress, more challenging emotional and mental and physical stress. And the solution to the pain isn't working harder or working less necessarily. I mean, I'm a big fan of working less if you can. I also like hard work too, as a recovering addict. So, but you actually have to do something different.
What's the points behind it?
So
Yeah, it's like Jocko's talking about the tactics not leading to the strategy. Like that's just a tactic, and okay, why are we doing this? Is it supporting the overall mission? Oh shit, no, it's not.
yeah, and I think I want to wrap up that sort of ranting thread of the pain point and being immune to the pain is we do need to distract ourselves sometimes, and we do need to um like
Yeah, acutely.
yeah. I'm a stereotypical male, so we're going to generalize, but males trend towards more ADHD and are more addicted to video games. Like sometimes I jump on and play a couple hours of video games just because what I need to do is really just meditate and journal, but I need something with a powerful dopamine hit to keep me from doing something
Worse.
no, yeah, or just to keep me from distracting myself with YouTube videos or alcohol or okay, yeah, that's probably it. And then so after I like vent and decompress, then I can journal and get back to like, okay, what am I gonna do differently?
That's it. Yeah, yeah, that's good. So you can do it acutely, but then you go back to the thing that maybe was a little bit too much in that moment. You're like, I know I should quote unquote journal and meditate. This is the right thing to do in this moment, but I'm so my nervous system is just so dysregulated. Okay, I'm gonna go and check out for an hour and play Call of Duty, but I'm also gonna have some discipline. And when that hour is over, I'm gonna go back to the meditation and journaling, and then your nervous system's probably a little calmer because you have distracted. It's a slippery slope, but yeah, you can use these things for help as long as they don't turn into full-on distractions and addictions. Then we're off to the races the wrong way. Connor Beaton talks about turning medicative practice into meditative practices. I like that. So the things that we use to distract and numb us, which makes sense, we're trying to feel better. The blast radius of those just makes it worse. So find the replacement, which are usually something around meditative practices or breathing, meditation, yoga, working out, 1,001 things that do hit the spot that you need.
And it's like here's a sign that you're doing it right. If I'm playing my game for an hour, by the end of the hour, end of the second hour, if I'm going to go for a longer stint, I'm like thinking, I start to feel this back pressure where actually, okay, I need to get to work. Like there's reverse pressure to then go and do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you let a muscle relax and then it heals and then you can lift more weight.
Yes.
Right? There's a good response to that. And if your coping or numbing mechanism puts in jeopardy or is destructive to your creative process, that might not be the right answer.
No, yeah. Like an alcoholic can't have one drink. It's just alcohol is not the thing. That's out of your life. Yeah.
So, I think in a way, pain is and suffering is the best gift that we can get because pain is actually about us and it's a message. It's a vehicle for change.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't discharge it into blame or store, some negative or disempowering narrative, if we don't discharge that energy and we keep it, we have something real behind that's something to motivate us to change.
Yeah, we tend to it rather than blame somebody else or an external thing for it, especially emotional pain.
So, you already hinted at some of the things that are ideas for you to change. But do you have clarity on some direct takeaways for your experience?
Slowing down. I've always known that that's the thing I need to do. So my mind goes really, really fast and my body follows suit, or my body wants to go fast and my mind follows suit. But now there's like a schism where my brain's like, okay, let's do our thing. And my body's like, go after yourself. Can't do it. So it's frustrating, but then, if I sit and using the Michael Singer mantra of relax, 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 and then you can handle this. You can handle this. Can you handle reality, basically, is what he's talking about. And that will just be enough to slow me down for a hot minute, just to, even engage my prefrontal cortex again and not go with the limbic um, impulse control problems that I sometimes have. And just breathe and okay, what's next? What can I do? How can I do it? Rather than getting frustrated and throwing the towel in or going to the all or nothing thinking. It's sort of like the whole military or Navy SEAL aphorism of "you're never out of the fight." You guys got probably told that. Just because you get shot or wounded doesn't mean you're combat ineffective. If you're combat ineffective, okay, yeah, get medevaced. But if you can still stay in the fight, stay in the fight. So I sort of used that, like, okay, I can't play soccer right now, but I can go out in the field and coach. Doesn't mean I have to just sit in the house and mope. Like, no, I can get on my peg leg and go out there and say all the same things I normally would in a game to my team. So things like that. Like, how can I remain in the fight? I worked out today, upper body with dumbbells. Like, not the normal workout that I normally do, but it's something. Did some push-ups. I'm getting more creative, I guess. I have to get creative with all the micro things you do.
That's
You're
right.
snapping your fingers. Was it that ring something for you?
No, seven fingers is just the beatnik version of a clap, right? Like it's just like, yes, queen, like go for it. No. I mean, because when you say creative, I hear resourceful,
Mm-hmm. Same thing. Yeah, same thing.
and that's actual change, and I'll double or triple down on that. If there is a value that requires your physical capacity to execute on, and that everything, some things do, so this isn't like a value judgment, but in terms of your personal presence with your family, with your responsibilities as a teacher and as a coach, all those things. My buddy was a framer and uh broke his leg, and he, framing houses is a physical job. But on the fourth day, he wheeled out there in his wheelchair, and hadn't even got onto crutches yet. And he was just, talking somebody through how to lay out a wall. He's like, okay, get out your measuring tape, get out your pencil, and then give me 2 nail guns. We're going to put a wall together. And then by the end of the day, we're going to have this dormer framed out, And so he had this 3-person crew, and he just talked them through all the steps. And he had to be very efficient with his words, right? Because you can't transmit everything to the people around you, but you had to walk them through what they knew and how to build on that. And it back to creativity, it forced him to be a more valuable project manager instead of just the lead farmer.
So there we go. So it's also getting back into the obstacles, the way kind of stuff. What impedes the action becomes the action. I can't remember the Marcus Aurelius statement. Using grist for the mill. It's also reminds me of Trevor Boehm's book, Man Uncivilized. He has the 12. If it's an ethos, I can't remember. Number 12 is fight hurt. Play through the pain, fight hurt. This is it. Stay in the fight, stay in the game.
Oh, can I add to that though?
Oh yeah.
That's a dramatic version of it, because you're in the fight and you're hurt all the time. It's just a spectrum, right?
1,000%.
You're never 100%. And there is a romance, and I'm staying with this surrendering part, because if you think about our, one of our mentors, Jocko, and his protege, who's a mentor to many hundreds of thousands of people himself, but Leaf
Babin.
Leaf, Jocko wasn't kicking down the door. Sometimes he wouldn't even be on the objective. He would just be in the, in the convoy or not even on the mission. Be easy to let go of and let the leaders he had trained go and do the thing, right? And the more attached we are to actually swinging the hammer, the less value we can provide to the community. And don't get me wrong, swinging a hammer is fun. But the point of your experience, Miles, is so that you can share it with other people, not literally do everything yourself, right? And when you think about what does a trainer do, I broke my arms, right? So I couldn't like teach jack all with my body, right? But I had luckily a good cadre of clients who had good skills already developed. So I could be the moral support, clarify that objective for all the drills they were doing, right? I could drip in the wisdom that I actually am supposed to provide, which is how do you get the most out of every exercise every day? And it forced me to get sharper on what I'm good at and how I can provide value without literally doing everything for people.
Were you talking about Jocko's mentor? Were you talking about David Hackworth? Is that what you meant?
No. No, Jocko mentored Leaf. Leaf and Jocko mentor everyone.
Okay, I thought you were talking about Jocko's mentor. Yeah, Leif is his buddy. Yeah, his number 2.
Yep. And these are people who are were active duty Navy SEALs who ran many dozens if not hundreds of missions and were very successful. And they Jocko and Leif did a good job of Leif, thank you. Did a good job of teaching other people how to do what they were doing so that they weren't bottlenecked with their own competencies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's basically their books in a nutshell. Hackworth comes from your service.
Yeah, he's a really great Colonel David Hackworth, really great leader. Wrote the book About Face. Wrote a couple books.
Some fiction even too. Yeah,
and just understood at the DNA level behavioral change and how to communicate in a way that could be integrated and while embodying the thing you're trying to teach.
Yeah, sounds like was an amazing human. I have the updated version of that book. Jocko has gotten to write the foreword to it, and I haven't dusted it off yet. I have that. I probably talked about it before in this podcast. That delusion. There's a Japanese word for it, for people who keep buying books, thinking that one day they will finish all these books that they buy, and the pile keeps growing. Those books you see behind me, I've read probably, if that, like 40% of them, if I'm lucky.
Well, I bet there's a German word for that too. Knowing the Germans and the Japanese, they're very good at describing things.
They really are. Yeah. I don't know a German word that I can think of. Idiot.
What, when you think about what would be the impetus for change, right? We talked about the changes that you want to see in yourself. What are all these? I mean, I think in terms of hobbies, buying and collecting books and going through them at your own pace, whatever pace that is. I mean, I think that's one of the best hobbies to go through. That's where most of my good ideas come from, other people. When you think about your what is inspiring you to buy these books? Is it so that you get to the pleasure of reading, or are you trying to get somewhere?
Usually get somewhere or learn. I just love learning new things and turning in knowledge to wisdom. I love that feeling. It's just empowering. And then I like to share it with other people. That's the third one. I want to share it. And I have to be careful because then it turns into like sort of proselytizing if I'm coming off the wrong way. That's not my intention. I just like, dude, did you know this? Something about that, which I guess means I'm doing the right thing in the career path I'm in, because that sort of feeds in. I'm just constantly learning new things on podcasts and books, and I enjoy it. My wife's always like, man, you need to like start some sort of thing where you take all this stuff that you've been digesting and putting it in like a 10-point format and like talking about it, because nobody wants to listen to all the podcasts you do, you read the books you do, you put a lot of time and effort into it and you like it. Nobody wants to do that, and they would love the cliff notes, and you could sort of do something with that. And it could, but then it's like, well, that's not my work. I'm just like vomiting out what I've learned. It's food for thought. I mean, I could add my own take on these things, because we all are standing on the shoulders of giants, as I've said before. We're all taking from the people we've learned from and adapting it to our own. That's what humans do. So it's not stealing, but there's something there. I like to do that. I like to learn. I would, if podcasts weren't an invention, I would have probably been through all these books, but there's so many fucking podcasts. So pick your poison. It's better than a crack habit. So I think I'll take this delusion over the others that are out there.
Well, that's what I mean. First of all, most people are doing that for money, right? Like digesting works and sharing them. Mark Manson, Ryan Holiday, some of the best people in the world.
That's a fair point. Ryan Holiday is digesting stoicism for people because no one else is really doing it in a way that is digestible, because it's an old stuffy philosophy, which it's a good one, but it can be stuffy.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of that. I carry around my Kindle app with highlights from different books because I borrow heavily from everybody. But yeah, easy to do that.
Yep.
In terms of producing content and a product. But yeah, man. Well, the more my observation of the pain tolerance problem ends with when we have, and I'll say when I have, because this is true in my life, when I have become the most sensitive to my own pain and the least sensitive to the judgment and the perceptions of others, the making a good decision becomes easier and easier and easier every step of the way. And the distance between decisions shortens as well because there's less friction.
Yeah, that's more authentic decision. That makes sense. Yeah, there's lots of munch on in what we're talking about in this episode, which is one of the points. We didn't have a lot for the listeners to take away as far as like a 10-point plan. It was more of these little thought experiments and in vivo processing that we're doing right now. Hopefully it's connecting on some level with people. But you and I can do this all day. I mean, that's how we started this podcast. We're talking like, dude, we should record our conversations. We're talking about cool stuff.
Well, I mean, like the longer we do it, the easier it is. And I think that everyone has access to pain.
Yes.
Right? Like that's where all the motivation is. And I am perplexed at people who I think that's what the must be nice is. When people look at your physicality or your the freedom that you have with your time and energy and money, people were like, oh, well, it must be nice. It's like, yeah, I work out 10 hours a week. I should be physically able to do whatever I want to do. That's something I don't lose a lot of sleep over. I work really hard and I've spent a lot of time and energy to get good at my field and to be the top 1% of it. And I hope that affords me some freedom to choose who I work with and how I work. Because if it doesn't, then I'm doing something wrong. And I think that we all have this pain. I think that I'm more irritated with infringements upon my freedom.
Mm,
If I can't work the way that I want to, like
mhm.
the whole conversation we were just talking about, people come with all these demands of like how much it needs to look like this, and like, cool, go somewhere else.
Yeah,
Like
go to 24-hour fitness. Yeah.
I'm here for I'm trying to knock it out of the park, and I'm going to do whatever I can take to get the bat underneath the ball. Like if you want to do it in an hour, if you want to do it only, without having to lift heavy weights or fix your diet or whatever, or do whatever, like cool. Like there's tons of trainers that go to a yoga studio, do something different.
Yeah.
I'm here for a whole nother level, but access to pain, getting rid of our own pain tolerance and getting sensitive to our pain. Paradoxically, although it is irritating, I mean, I'm agitated almost all the time. I'm agitated in a way that
Yeah.
makes me happy most of the
Yeah,
time.
well, you're paying attention. I always tell people when they come to me for psychotherapy that sometimes it will feel like everything is getting worse before it gets better because you're actually digging in and paying attention to this stuff for the first time, or you were able to, well, choosing to avoid it, able to avoid it before. And so just get used to that. But it does get easier once you start addressing it and releasing things and healing things and moving things around. So there's a truth there. And that's kind of where I'm actively dealing with my pain. I could choose not to, but then this thing wouldn't get better and my mental health would suffer and so on and so forth. So you get to tend to your pain.
Absolutely. The best, um, one of the best things that can happen to you is that the drugs don't work, the coping doesn't work, the avoidance doesn't work. And when all of those things dry up, then you're just left with change.
Oh yeah. Stuck with the raw pain that I might have been trying to avoid. Yeah. When the security blankets get taken away, there it is. But that's the thing you're meant to transcend or transmute in alchemy and the Jungian sense from nigredo, the black stuff, to gold. Transmutation. Take the black and turn to gold. Turn the poison into the medicine or whatever the analogy is. But it's not an easy process and not fun. But it's not meant to be. If it was easy, it wouldn't be workable or worth it. Probably.
What do you we never caught what you were listening to before you started talking about alchemy. Are you listening to anything fun?
Yeah. So my wife is my de facto Uber driver and butler recently, and yeah, it's been week 2, and she probably wants to kill me every day, which is understandable. And I'm a really good front seat, back seat driver. I like to say I'm a good driver, and so I should just shut up. But we have to listen to the radio, right? Because she doesn't cue her phone up to the thing, so she has a different music tastes than I do. So Z100 was on, which is a station that makes me want to shoot myself. But a song came on that I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. This is kind of stupid. It was kind of cool. It was Shabuzi, a bar song. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
It's actually pretty good. It's silly, but it's catchy and it's good. But that's Z100, so it makes sense. I've been listening to Shabuzi. And then otherwise just podcasts as usual.
All right, man. Shabuzi. Well, there's a part of you in there, Miles, that wants to have fun.
Yeah, I suppressed that guy a little too much. I think there's some egoic elitism in there where I'm not supposed to do that or something, which is silly. But did come out in the undergrad years when I was at frat parties and stuff. So he still exists, but I should let him out in a healthier way from time to time and just who cares? As my daughters are blasting they're Swifties, of course. I'll dance with them. It's like they like this. I'm not going to make fun of it, but they like this. Yeah.
Well, Tay stuck into my heart. That's a story for another podcast. But I've
Stuck in your heart?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got
Oh,
emotional experience with Taylor Swift songs, specifically one song. Um,
oh, getting real vulnerable.
yeah. Yeah.
That's an admission.
Yeah, man. 2016, I fell in love with Shake It Off, but that's my teaser for next episode.
Yeah. I'm a music snob. I should shut up. Doesn't mean that I'm right.
You're a music snob, Miles. Have you listened to your playlist? No, you're not.
In my mind, I am. I totally am.
Well, so this
Mhm.
plays into the sense of significance and the ego, right? Because
Yeah, exactly.
if we don't have significant achievements, then the ego will settle for having significant problems, right?
That's
And
worth saying one more time.
yes, if we do not have significant achievements, and I'm going to use significance in air quotes because who knows what that means. But if we don't have significant achievements to us, then we must have significant problems to us.
Mhm.
And I heard that in that James Wedmore podcast, and I just it struck me right in the heart because in lieu of getting what you want and being happy and being successful, which is my definition of that as being the person you want to be,
Mm.
um, and to be the person that those things flow to naturally. In lieu of that, we'll settle for suffering with the most significant problems.
Sounds like social media and what's wrong with a lot of the world right now. There's another podcast, but yeah, that's a great quote.
Okay, on the next, so for our next podcast,
We have 19 threads we could pull.
no, in the next podcast, we're going to do two things. I want to tell you this the Taylor Swift story,
Okay.
and then I want to go through our algorithms. And I think I want to make an episode, at least for me, I want to make an episode of this my social media algorithm and like what the influencers are saying on it and where I spend time. So dude, it's getting dense, but your social media just rewards what the viewer,
Mhm.
want to look at the most, right?
Just trying to decide that for you. Yeah, yeah.
But it has to have your view times and your clicks and your engagement to know that. So
Sure.
I have an amazing algorithm, but I've cultivated it and I see there's
Yeah.
always bait. There's always like,
Curate.
yeah, I curate it. And there's always political bait on my algorithm that's
Oh yeah.
trying to get me to go to one side or another. And
Oh yeah.
I always just go through as like, I don't care what sensational shit,
You just ignore it.
Yeah. No,
What
because
I do is I like both of it, so that I'm getting both sides, and then maybe I'm splitting the difference, and then maybe getting a more accurate view is my hope. So I get lefty stuff and righty stuff all the time.
but the danger with that is well, so I think this should be our next episode because I think what I want to do is I want to drop into that conversation
Mhm.
and because also I don't want to pretend like I am the knower of social media. I have no idea what's really happening. But
Nobody does.
but I do have a very sharp editorial authority where my attention goes.
Mm.
And I am not efficient. So if you think that I don't like look at social media or watch TV or play video games, I already reveal I do. So I'm just like everyone else. I just have stuff, but the things that I get lost in are things I've cultivated as to be
I see.
to be very, very helpful
Gotcha.
for my mental state.
Right. So you don't even want to get lost in any news, so you're not even touching that crap.
I
I see
li-
what you're saying.
I'd listen to a couple of things, but that's not what I'm going to talk about cultivating the social media thread. And I'm curious to see what yours reveals about you
Okay.
or where your eyes have been and mine and where my eyes have been. And then I want to go through like what my version of the dark web looks like on my feed, like what the stuff I don't want to see is. And you can
Mhm.
maybe share what some of that is for you.
Mhm.
I think that's interesting too.
Absolutely. Yeah. What they call them, thirst traps, is the social media name for, or clickbait or whatever.
Or anger bait.
Yeah, exactly.
Rage bait. Yeah.
It's real easy these days. And yeah, it does have an effect on your mental health. I still yet to read The Anxious Generation, Jonathan Haidt, his new book that's supposed to be about smartphones and how they're bringing us to bad places. It's on my list. Yeah, more to come. So next podcast will be about Taylor Swift and social media algorithms of some sort.
We're finally going to have a viral episode.
Yeah, if you talk about those two things, it just may.
We should. We might penetrate.
Yeah.
We might penetrate.
Yeah, exactly. All right, folks. Thanks for staying with this in vivo. What is it? Gedanken, thought experiment in German that we did. We didn't have a super fleshed out episode for you today, mostly due to me not being super available to put a lot of prep in because I've been on the mend and on drugs. So coming off and coming back to reality, we'll get better. I'll be out of town in Denver next week, but we should have 2 in the bank now, so should be on schedule. But if this helps anybody, send it to somebody you think would get something from it. It does help to start getting these things shared. If it doesn't, then no worries. But it does help the old algorithm, as we were just talking about, to push the plus button, subscribe, and share and rate, review, all that crap that you have to do. But it does help us. So if you like us, please do.
I love it, man. I'm excited for next week. Excited to see how you feel when you get back. And to all you listeners, see you soon.
All right, we're out.